Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the pregame lobby. Now, things are a little bit different around here. For the foreseeable future, Big T is just entirely too busy. He's asked to have a little bit more free time in his afternoons. So, with that being said, Mr. Snickety has agreed to kind of step up to the bat a little bit here, be a little bit more of a full time co host until T's able to get back with us. He's all good, just a lot going on. Sometimes you just need a little bit of extra time in the afternoons to get your stuff together. So Snick and I are going to be running the show here for just a little bit by ourselves, but nothing else is changing. Now, Snick, as this episode is coming out on Friday morning, we will be beginning Major 3 in Birmingham. But before we get talking about that, we do have last weekend's matches to go over. So we'll just kind of hit the ground running here. Let's get on moving. Friday, we had Genomates taking on FaZe. I had honestly thought this was going to go the way of Mates. I was a little bit, kind of hoping to see a little bit more energy come back to their camp. It's been confirmed that they've been going through some pretty serious stuff, on the player side. We've had two family members pass for the players. And so that's never really easy to go through, sorry. But, it wasn't their weekend in terms of matches. They have another one that they played on Sunday that we'll get to. But here in this FaZe match, go ahead and pull it up. It went the distance, but ultimately it goes to FaZe.
FaZe pulls out another Neslo here.
Yeah, they do. Which is really impressive, because G2 isn't a team that you can kind of just scoff at when it comes to S&D and Overload. I said G2, I meant Mates, sorry. But
yeah, their search has struggled a little bit recently, but I think FaZe's search has just been phenomenal lately, so I wouldn't put too much stock in Mates struggling in the search too much. I'm sure they'll bounce back in the major. But I think this is just a case of FaZe. The hard points are close. I think it's just a case of FaZe clutching up when they needed to.
Yeah, and we look here at the sort of the individual player stats. It's kind of what you would expect to see in a Neslo. FaZe are pretty severely outslayed here, but still squeak out the wind. Like the shining stars, Neptune continuing to do what he does. He's got a 1.2 on the series. Abuza, the only one positive on FaZe at a 1.1. No real true stinkers. We got a couple 0.8s out of Draza and Envoy. But I'm going to be honest, I don't necessarily take a 0.8 as a real stinker of a series. It's usually once you start getting to that 0.7 range for me where I think you absolutely got destroyed, especially if your damage is there. Envoy 0.8, but he's still above 10k damage. That's not necessarily a terrible, terrible game, even though he has been looking kind of rough recently. But yeah, I think I'll save my full comments on Mates once we talk about their last match on the weekend. As for FaZe, you're pulling off these Neslos against teams that should be hard to Neslo. You're honestly probably feeling pretty good about yourself. Maybe get a little bit of work in on the hard points. Hopefully they did going into this weekend. But even then, we've seen FaZe be able to pull out hard points. I don't necessarily think that they have an issue. I think when you get to a team like Paris and OpTic, they are just going to be so hard and hard point that you're looking at the Neslo anyways.
Yeah. And if you hear my voice is a little rough, excuse me, I'm catching a little bit of a cold. So, yeah, but besides the point, I think FaZe is getting hot at the right time. They're beating the teams they needed to beat. And I think we could see them make a little noise at the major like they did at Major 1. So I'm excited for what they could do.
Second match on Friday, we had Cloud9 taking on the Ravens. And just truthfully speaking, this went the way I think most people at home would have expected, right? Ravens end up squeaking the win out 3-1. If you're Cloud9, you're continuing to see success in Search and Destroy. All hope is not lost. But other than that, you just got a lot of work to do in your respawns. You're losing your respawns pretty significantly from time to time. We kind of look at the individual player stats. one person's positive on Cloud9, and that's Nezra. He's honestly probably been their most impressive for me
Yep.
since this roster has formed. He's continuously doing things. He looks like he's always making the right plays, which is really, really important for a roster of all amateur players.
Hmm.
Um,
You know what's funny actually is Ocus has been generally really rough in hardpoint,
mhm.
um, or in the respawns in general. But he's been solid in search, which is
Oh, yeah.
surprising to me. I don't know if they're like I would expect like a Fortnite player to have some carryover to the respawns and the
You'd think
fast-paced
so.
play and stuff,
Yeah.
but he's been really solid for them in search, and I'm honestly overall been really impressed with how they played in search. They've been taking, they haven't really been 3-0'd much recently, I don't think. Let me just look at their match history. No, they haven't really been. So they've been squeaking out some searches here and there against teams, that you wouldn't necessarily expect, which has been pretty impressive. If they can start to solidify their hard point a little bit, where Ocus gets more comfortable, I'm I think we're all on the same page. They're the worst team in the league, but um, I wouldn't be surprised if they won a few more matches than two in the next split.
Yeah, and to kind of like build on what you just said, we all agree they're the worst team in the league, but this is it's an expected situation. Right. They are the worst team in the league, but it's not like they're a team of four players that should not be getting absolutely ran. You
Right.
expect this. There is room for them to grow. If this was a roster of four really veteran players, there'd be
Yep.
nothing but calls to blow it up. I don't think anyone really thinks this roster should be blown up. I think everyone just more or less agrees they need time, which means that
Hmm.
there is still promise on this roster. You look at the individual player stats, I mean, it kind of reflects there, right? You've got Ravens, which most of these guys are
Lurk's had
also,
a crazy series.
like rookie era. Exceeded and Narrow definitely aren't, but, um, you just said it yourself, Lurks is sitting at a 1.4 in this series.
He's
Everyone
been
else
really good.
positive. Yeah, he's
He's been
kind of
really,
had a
really
little bit of
good.
a turnaround since we came back from major one, which is really what you're looking for. You need some of these players to start having that turnaround if you're going to want to return to that form that you had in the major one qualifiers.
He's actually
On
got the number 4 hardpoint KD in the league right now, Lurks.
Oh, yeah, I mean he has been playing really well. Um, on the side of Cloud9, we had some pretty significant stinker matches. Ocus is negative 36, sitting at a point
Yeah.
0.6. You can't have that. A point 0.7. It's a 0.79, but it's still a point 0.7 out of Hyde at negative 20. You're not gonna have good matches when that's happening.
Hmm.
But I'm not gonna harp on these guys too much. They've gotten wins under their belt, and at the end of the day, that's what's important. They're slowly improving. Got a little bit of time that's going to come their way now because they're not going to Birmingham. I don't know if anyone's shocked by that. It was pretty much decided a couple weekends ago, anyways. Um, but yeah, hit the drawing board. Keep working. I don't think we have much to worry about that Cloud9 roster given time. I think they should start figuring stuff out.
Yep.
Final match
Totally
on
agree.
Friday, we had Surge take on G2. And again, kind of went the way that I think everybody would expect a Surge versus G2 match to go. G2 end up taking it 3-0. I'm going to
Man,
kind of
this was
rush
a
through.
slammage.
Yeah, I'm going to rush through this because this was absolute slammage. And there is another Surge match that we will get to on Sunday that is way more important to talk about. So
Hmm.
we'll just kind of, I got it up on the screen here for everybody. You can kind of look over the individual scores, player stats. It's Nick said it best. It's slammage. You got two 1.5s on the side of G2. Mamba and Estrio had an absolute blast in this match, and then you got 2.6. You got 3.6s. Sorry, on the side of on Surge. You got 666 over there. It's just a cursed ass match. We'll just move on. It went exactly the way you would think it would. All right, that takes us into Saturday. Starting us off, we had Miami taking on the Ravens. This matchup ended up being one of the most unexpected bangers I think we've seen in a couple weekends. This was
Totally.
a really hard fought matchup. That Blackheart hardpoint in map 4, I mean, you can see it here on screen, guys. It went the absolute distance. It's a differential of 4 points. It was extremely fun to watch. If you get a little bit of free time, maybe waiting between matches here this weekend for Birmingham, go back and watch this one if you missed it. I actually really do recommend it. Um, yeah, man, they just traded maps back and forth. Great series out of Rencor as usual. He gets his 1 point. He gets a 1.2. That's kind of something we see for this guy. Um,
And it's another rough one for Metals
yeah,
here.
that's exactly where I was just about to go. We see Metals kind of struggle again. Um, you know, that 0.79 doesn't hurt as much if you win that round. You win that S&D, right? That game
Mm-hmm.
5. But you really start to feel it now that you've lost it, and now that it's been kind of a few series that have started to creep up on you where you're really kind of starting to struggle. Um, on the side of Ravens, it's honestly not too dissimilar. You got 2 people positive, 2 people negative. No one has like a bigger game on the side of Ravens like Rencor did. Honestly, Ravens kind of pulled this out. It's a mixture of Miami choking and Ravens just making the correct plays when absolutely necessary. They
Mm-hmm.
looked really good in S&D against Miami, who have honestly also looked pretty damn good in S&D, especially Super with that sniper.
Yeah,
Um,
they were able to hold him down in that
yeah,
map too.
they absolutely shut him down. He had a point. He went -3 in that S&D, that map too, honestly, and recovers though. He has an absolute series or an absolute map in that game 5
Yeah.
S&D. He goes 11-6, but at the same time, I think that might be the strat. If you're going to be taking on this Miami team in S&D, you got to figure out a way to shut Super down. I think he might be, in my opinion, the best S&D sniper right now. He's
Yeah.
pulling off.
I think he's far and away the best. Yeah.
I mean, he's gotten collats. He's like, this guy's doing everything correct with the sniper. While after the aim assist change, we've seen some teams absolutely do away with the sniper completely. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? But yeah, I've been really, really impressed with Super's S&D. Just ultimately in this matchup here on Saturday, things didn't go Miami's way.
Yeah, and I'm actually I didn't we'll see later. I didn't pick Carolina to win their matches at the major, but I was surprised that they were able to win this one. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think I mean they end up 6-5 on the split or excuse me. They end up what did they do? No, I guess they had 11 matches. Yeah, they end up 6-5 on
Yeah,
the
they're six
split.
and five.
So they end up positive, and after a rough start to the online split, they really were able to turn it around and beat some teams that they needed to beat to get in there to the major. But I don't know. I was a little surprised at this result. I mean, I picked Miami 3-1. And if I don't know. Carolina is an interesting team for me just because I feel like they can turn it on at any given moment, beat teams they're not supposed to beat, and then when it gets to land, they might just totally shit the bed again. But
Mm-hmm.
remains to be seen. I think that there's potential there for them to make some noise, but I think it's going to be a long shot.
I agree. Moving into the second match that took place on Saturday, we had FaZe taking on Cloud9. Kind of going to do the same thing that we did for that Surge match. This was an absolute smoke show. There's not really much to talk about. It went the exact way you would think.
Yeah,
Absolute
another
stinkers on
rough
the side of
one series
Cloud9.
for Ocus.
Yeah. Encourage the only one positive on the side of FaZe. 04s at a 0.9, but at the end of the day, if you've got Draza and Simp sitting around 1.4s each, you can have someone drop a 0.9. Um, yeah. Only major takeaway, I guess, is round 11 in the S&D. But at the same
Yeah,
time,
it's I was just gonna say it's Cloud9 looking good in search.
yeah,
Obviously they don't pull out the win, but FaZe is a really good search team, like we mentioned, and Cloud9 takes them the distance. They could easily be forcing a map for you, and you never know what could
oh yeah.
happen.
And then you kind of a little bit of a grain of salt. It is Blackheart. It should be super super scrappy, but they did
Yeah,
at least cross the 200-point threshold in that hard point.
and they had a
Um,
pretty decent, sizable lead at the start. We've
mm-hmm.
seen that quite a bit from them in hardpoint. Like they had a 70 or so point lead at one point, and then they just give it away. So
Yeah.
if they can find ways to close matches, like we said, we'll see them make some noise. I think in the next split.
Well, third match. on Saturday, we had Falcons taking on OpTic, and I think this might have been probably the most unexpected turnout um or outcome, sorry, of this past weekend. I feel like most people expected OpTic to continue winning with how good they were looking. You can see it here. Falcons end up taking the match 3-1 over OpTic. It's a pretty, impressive win over an OpTic team that had been looking so good. OpTic pull off the first hard point, and then after that, it's just all Falcons. 6-4 in the exposure, S&D, closer overload. That overload really could have went either way. It was just a couple small mistakes on the OpTic side, and then a pretty decent slammage on the hardpoint exposure. I think OpTic did announce that they were going to be testing maps. Maybe exposure is one that they're trying to get a little bit better on.
Well, it's
You
funny
know,
because Den is one of their rough hard points, and
yeah,
they come out and beat Falcons in this one. Let me check Falcons' record on Den. Okay, they're not so great on Den either, so it was probably a good one
yeah,
for OpTic to get a rep on.
mm-hmm.
But even so, like the whole squad has a pretty rough series here,
Yeah,
except apart from Hercules. And I'd be a little bit concerned about Dashy. He hasn't been. I mean, he's been good, but he hasn't been his the player that we know he can be as of late. So I don't know. It's a rough series. Obviously, you're going against Celium, who's one of the best ARs in the
oh
league.
yeah.
So it's a rough matchup for him, but you know,
I
just
think
something to keep an eye out for.
I think Falcons just came out with some absolute fire this match. I mean, you look here, Pred had a 1.2 on the
Yeah.
series. He's plus 20. Um, I think they were just shooting. I think OpTic had an off series. It was bound to happen. The idea of going
Yeah.
11-0 on a split is absolutely insane to me. The fact that you can see up here, it's kind of a spoiler. We'll get to their second matchup though. The fact that they even went 10-1 in general is a little crazy. Um,
I'm not so
I'm
surprised that Falcons is a team that beat them either.
Yeah, neither
Uh,
am I.
like they're a team that gets hot and just
Mm-hmm.
you can't kill them at certain
100%.
times. So I wouldn't
Uh,
be too concerned about OpTic going to the major. I don't think
no,
anybody
not at
is.
all. Not at all. I
But yeah,
think
it's tough to go undefeated.
I think Falcons just had some fire. I think it's important to say a lot of teams always want to beat OpTic. We see a lot of teams always play really really good against OpTic, which if
Hmm.
you are OpTic is kind of I think is a blessing in disguise because it means you always got to come correct. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, great matchup out of Falcons here. OpTic maybe a little bit to work on exposure in all three game modes, but ultimately, I think this is just a learning series for OpTic. I think they were guaranteed first seed. They didn't really, they were just looking to learn at this point.
Yep.
And then rounding us out on Saturday, we had Thieves taking on G2. Um, I picked Thieves to win this, but I expected it to be a little bit closer. I don't know, man. I'm starting to wonder if I might be giving G2 a little bit too much credit at once
Hmm.
we ended the tail end of this qualifying split here. Thieves take it 3-0 and it's not particularly close either. It's over a 100 point differential in the hard point. They win the S&D 6-2. They win the overload by 2 points. And I think if you're winning overload by 2-3 points, that's still a pretty strong win. Overload has been shown to be able to get pretty close, especially on teams who are more or less the same in like rankings and stuff like that. You look at the individual stats. I mean, it's kind of what you'd expect. Everyone on Thieves positive except for Hydra, but he's still sitting at a .9. Again, I just said it for that one Thieves series against Cloud9. You can be okay with a high .9 when you've got someone on your team sitting around a 1.3, 1.4, right? You got Scrap's got a 1.2 weight, Abizi with a 1.3. On the side of G2, no one positive. Highest is a .94 out of Skies, but even then, if you don't have someone putting in the extra weight work for kills when your whole team's negative like that, you're not gonna pull a win out.
Yeah, I'm looking at G2's match history, and it's making me nervous for them
Yeah,
honestly at the major. Because if you go, I mean, we're looking back like 8 matches ago for them even, but they beat FaZe, they beat Falcons back to back, and that was during a period where FaZe and Falcons were both struggling a little bit. They lose to Heretics 3-0 during a time where Heretics is heating up, beat Gentlemates 3-0 where they were struggling, lose to Ravens 3-0, and then beat two teams who will beat one team who doesn't even make the major in Boston, and then they beat Surge. Um, and then this most recent match, they lose to Thieves. So they don't really have a lot of strong wins
Yeah.
on their resume from this split, which is a little bit concerning if you're a G2 fan, which I am a little bit these days. I've been kind of riding their bandwagon. So um, I I'm a little bit concerned about how they're going to show up to LAN. Obviously, like were they one of the teams that got DFR'd at Major One? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but um,
Think
like I'm
so.
a little bit worried about how these four will show up to LAN. I think Escher and Kremp and Mamba specifically might have some problems with the crowd and just like the energy in the building, especially
Mhm.
Mamba being a rookie.
Let's see. I'm trying to look and see if they were one of the teams that got TFR'd. Where's my notes on Major 1? Because that's actually a good point. I'm actually interested in that as well. So there's Major 1.
Yeah, I could pull it up as well.
No, G2 made it to Sunday.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
right. They
yeah,
did.
yeah.
No, they
They
played
made it
really
deep.
well. Yeah, they played
Yeah, yeah.
really well. That's right.
They're the ones they knocked FaZe out. No.
Yes.
They
No, no,
moved
FaZe.
FaZe to
Yep.
losers, and
And
then
then
they
FaZe
lost,
knocked them
and then
out.
FaZe knocked them out. Yeah, they made it
Yeah,
top
no.
4.
So they did play well, but my point
Yeah.
stands that recently they don't have the strongest wins.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
I mean, even
agree.
before the FaZe series, they beat their wins are C9, FaZe Falcons when they were struggling, Genomates when they were struggling, and then Boston, who doesn't make it to the major, and then Surge, who's probably getting eliminated in the play-in. So
Hmm.
it's not a great look right now.
Yeah. Like I said, I think I've been riding a little too high on them, and it's not necessarily benefiting me right now in
Yeah,
terms of pick'ems. Which now that my memory is jogged, the reason I have been riding so high on them is purely because of
because
how
of
good
their
they looked
major.
at the major.
Yeah,
Yeah, they made
yeah,
it top 4. They should be playing way better. Still plenty of opportunity to prove us wrong at land, though. You know.
yes, totally,
Now
totally.
that moves us into Sunday, Snick. Starting us off, we had Surge taking on the Falcons. Now, I said the reason we kind of moved through that that Surge match on Friday is because there was a more important one, and this is it. Surge beat Falcons 3-2. And
Secure their spot.
yeah, it gets them into um the play in over, it was over Boston, right? They
Yep.
Yeah, they caused Boston to not qualify. It was literally as long as Surge did not win 2 maps, Boston would qualify for the play in over Surge, and Surge just went ahead and won the whole series. Let alone 2 maps, they just went ahead and won the whole series. Yeah, I mean, definition of unexpected, especially when you look at the individual stat lines, because it's not a Neslo either. I mean, Surge get absolutely outslayed. You've
Hmm.
got a 1.2 out of Cell and a 1.15 out of XNet. The other 2 players on Falcons are positive. Only one person is positive on Surge, but you still pull out a hard point win and then 2 S&D wins. You know what I'm saying? It's the fact that it wasn't a Neslo, sorry, is just mind blowing to me. I don't even really know like what to say about this match because like
To be to be totally fair on the well, I mean, I don't know if it's fair because Falcons should be beating Surge no matter what map it
yeah,
is. Their record on Scar Hardpoint is 7-12, so they're not. Or no, I'm sorry, this is Vito's. I'm looking at Scar. Okay, they're 2-4 on Scar, so they're they're I don't know what win percentage that is. Like my brain's not working right now,
yeah, but
but
you
they're
said
two
it
and four
yourself.
on
It's
Scar Hardpoint, but
Surge.
they should be beating Surge.
Yeah, I mean,
So
the fact they 100-point clubbed him in the second hard point in the series.
yeah,
That's how these matches, like that matchup, should have gone the entire way. I'm gonna be real with you, Nick. It's a big win for Surge because of their
hmm,
head-to-head with Boston, but
yep,
this is about as a fluky win as it can get. I don't
yeah,
think that there
totally.
was any like actual substance to take away from this. I think Falcons just had an abysmal like time making plays because if you look, it's not like they got outslayed. They outslayed.
Yep,
They
and
just were making troll ass plays the whole time.
same thing on the raid. Like Falcons loves raid search, and to come out and lose to a team that is Yeah, I mean, yeah, I chalk it up as a bit of a fluke series for me.
Yeah, I don't really. I, good job, Search. You made it to the play-in.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
better
Good
hope you
job.
can
You're
fucking
gonna,
do something with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You get to fly round trip a day staying in Birmingham.
Yeah, fun vacation probably. Oh,
Oh, I think we're
chat. Just to let you know, Discord's having issues today. I don't know what just happened. Snick and I just had like a little bloom bloom in the Discord, but we're good. Second match on Sunday, we had Thieves taking on the Paris Gentlemates. Um, kind of again a match that I didn't necessarily expect to go this way. I had taken Mates again. I'm kind of trying to give him a little bit of hope in my mind that they turn it around going into the major. Thieves end up taking it 3-2. It does go the distance. Um, but I'm going to be honest, the maps that Thieves did win did not really look close. Honestly, it's the same. The maps that Paris won didn't really look too close, but at the same time, the maps Thieves won didn't really look too close. Thieves just end up winning 3. Um, a pretty even series across the player stats as well. 2 players positive on each side. Um, yeah, this is, I think, in my opinion, the definition of a very back-to-back match, like a head-to-head, super strong, like you're gonna trade your maps type of matchup.
Yep. Yeah, I think this match could have easily gone either way.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way the chips fell in this series that Mates was heating up. But the Thieves is a weird team for me right now. They're kind of in the spot that I had Miami a couple weeks ago, where they were like on the rise, and then they'd lose a random match, and then they'd come out and have a match like this where they slam the 3 maps that they win. Um, so I'm not really sure where I put Thieves right now in the major, or their chances. I actually, at the end of the day, even though their records are like flipped, these 2 teams, I think Mates has a better chance to do something at the major than Thieves does, and that's partially due to just the way the schedule falls and who they play. Um, but yeah, I don't necessarily think either of these teams can make a real run. But if I were to pick out of the 2, I think it's Mates, even regardless of this series and their records on the split.
Yeah, I think I agree. Just history on land so far this year, it's hard to bet against Paris, especially now that we're
Mhm.
going to be moving into another land situation.
And we're
Um,
getting Niam's first land, by the way,
exactly.
in a crazy environment. So
Mm-hmm.
that'll be interesting to see.
It will be because that that it's a UK crowd. UK and European crowds are always just insane. So there's
Mhm.
going to be a pretty decent amount of energy in the building, I'm assuming, and that is definitely going to have an effect on players who are not used to it.
Totally.
Um, Third match on Sunday, we had Miami taking on the Boston Breach. Um, this one also went exactly the way you would expect it to. Not really many notes I'm gonna give.
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Boston were after they knew their fate just from Surge winning. I think they
yeah.
kind of looked just defeated, and this was just the
If
result of
you go back and watch this map and look at the player cams, they're getting absolutely rammed, but they're laughing and
yeah,
shit the
yeah.
whole time. They did not want to play this
They just
match.
checked.
Yeah, they had no choice but to. Um, yeah, it's a 3-0 from Miami. Best KD is
This
super
is
and
this is a case of
Rencor.
I'm showing up just so I don't get fined type of
Yeah,
match.
exactly. You like I said, they're getting slammed. You got 2.7s on the other side, but they're still laughing and just
Mhm.
goofing off the whole time. Uh, Notes for Boston, since we're not going to talk about them at the major, I expect a team change. You need a team change. This is not working. I'm going to be completely honest. I think you will probably agree. I think the Snoopy experiment has run its course.
Mhm.
Your hypothesis has not been proven correct. It is a failed experiment. Drop him. I think they need a 2-man change.
I think it's Snoopy and Purge that gotta go. I
Snoopy and
like
Purge
the
need to go.
duo of Nasty and Spart. I like that core.
I think they have been. I think we've seen Nasty not be as big of a star now that Spart has been around. He was kind of like the only one shining star on that roster for me before
Mhm.
Spart showed up. But I don't think that's necessarily a demerit against him. I think he just finally
No.
has help.
Yep.
You know what
Yep.
I'm saying?
Totally agree.
So
And the
yeah,
SMGs are just crapping the sheets
I think you need a two
over
man
and over and
change.
over.
Figure it out. There's plenty of options. I just do not think if Snoopy somehow survives, they know something that we don't. And like there's like I don't know, but
This might be a faded take, but and I just thought of this. I might be interested in seeing Renegade on this roster. He has improved so
Maybe.
much since the start of since he joined COD. And I think at this point, Boston's kind of just one of those teams. They're not in the same position as C9, but I think they're in a similar position where they're going to try to just kind of nurture some talent. Obviously, they could still try to make a run at champs, but I'd be interested in that kind of move for them, where it's somebody who has upside, who's not necessarily proven that you can put next to Nasty and Spart um, to grow up in the league.
I agree. Well, that moves us into our last match of the Major 2 qualifiers. We had OpTic taking on Koi. Not exactly the way I thought it would have went. I thought Koi would have put up a little bit more of a fight. OpTic take it 3-0. I was expecting maybe a 3-1, 3-2. Koi has on multiple matches now shown that they have the capability of being pretty damn solid. But ultimately, OpTic take it out. You know, it's funny, you were just talking about Dashy not really looking like his old self.
And then
He puts up basically a 1.4 in this series. I mean, he's got a 1.39. Only like slower KD is Hook at a 1.06, but Hook has had an unbelievable qualifier. He can have a match or two where he's he's still doing his
the
thing.
other guys are getting the kills. Yeah,
exactly. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got a stinker in map 1 in the hard point. He goes -8, but at the same time, you're winning and you're still making correct play. You can go negative and still make correct plays, right? On the side of Koi, 0.6 out of insight is the biggest thing that glares for me. And it's hard because after the change to pick up Kips, we kind of saw a little bit more life in the roster, right? Insight was looking, he had a couple matches where he looked way better. Kleenex was kind of looking more like his old self. And just as we've moved toward the end of the qualifying stage here, it's kind of looked like some stuff has tapered off a little bit. We're getting back to the Koi that we had been seeing for a while.
Yeah, they've gone win-loss here at the end.
So,
again, beating teams who we would expect them to beat and losing.
Yeah, you're not pulling out impressive wins. Yeah,
they're one of the teams that lost to C9, so
I think
it's a concern for them at the major.
I think we might be looking, unless they show up to the major and just like really, really play well, I think we might quickly be looking at the end of this roster in its current form. We might end up seeing another team change. I would expect Insight to be the first one that they try. I don't expect to see like a 2-man change or anything here,
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah, not a necessarily good finish for Koi. Yeah, that's our Major 2 qualifiers. 66 total matches this time around, Snick.
Insane.
11 matches every weekend. I feel like we've talked about a lot of COD. If you go and look at the length of the episodes since the beginning of this qualifying stage, you can very easily track when it started because our episodes have been long as hell. We've been discussing 22 total matches an episode, but that stops today. It's time to start looking forward to Birmingham. Now, Snick, this is your first time joining us for a major.
Yes.
Viewers at home, you know how we do it a little bit. We've changed it. Typically, T and I would have just predicted the entire major right here, right now. But one, that is just entirely hard to do because everyone plays different on the major in comparison to how they play in online qualifiers for the most part. And two, it's a lot more interesting to like actually keep track of our stats. We used to make majors not count because we were going in with so much blind information. So today, what we're going to do, Snick and I will put forward our predictions for Friday only, for today's matches only. And then we will kind of just discuss. Yeah, we can still discuss what we expect to happen for the major, but in terms of official predictions, we'll only be doing today's matches. And then we will, on our pregame lobby socials, every day a graphic will go out with predictions. And if I don't end up doing a graphic, I'll at least end up putting a tweet out saying, hey, this is who we've picked. so on and so forth. But you guys will at least know. We'll keep some type of competitive integrity going here to make sure we're not just pulling stuff out of our butts. But yes, Nick, let's kind of get into this.
Let's do it.
So the format for this major is different. We've talked about it a few times, but there will be a play-in qualifier first. Not every team is at this major. The bottom two teams are not making it, which is Boston and Cloud9. They're not here. Then the next 4 teams, so 6 through 10, are going to have to do. Is it 6? No, 7 through 10
Yeah.
are going to have to do a qualifying play-in. So we'll kind of talk about that first. Those 4 teams are going to be Carolina. Oddly enough, Paris Gentlemates, your Major 1 winners, are in this play-in qualifier. And then Toronto and Vancouver. Outside of Gentlemates, that's not a shocking list to hear. I'd expect to be seeing, hell, I don't know, anyone other than the Major 1 winners here. But
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, when I look at everything that's been going on, I would expect Koi and Paris to come out of our play-in. That's my prediction there. I would say you and I talked a little bit at the beginning. I'm pretty sure you agree.
Yep.
As far as looking,
3-0s, both of those series.
Yeah, I would imagine they go pretty quick. The only one I think could end up being sloppy, oddly enough, is Paris. They've got a lot of question marks around them right now. Looking forward to the rest of the major, my blind pick is OpTic right now. I think it's hard to say that OpTic is not going to be your winner when you look at how well they have been doing. Sorry. So to be honest, my interest is more on who my underdog picks will be, right? I think an underdog pick for this major could be Miami. I think Miami have shown us multiple times that they are really quickly putting it together and are a very competent team. I think Falcons should be in that list. And honestly, based purely off what we saw at the end there, I think FaZe and/or Thieves could be in that list as well. I think they're kind of interchangeable for me. So I'll just put them both in there. I think Miami, Falcons, FaZe, Thieves. I do think that there could be some silent underdogs that could sneak into this major. OpTic have looked phenomenal, sure, but I'm not going to fully take away of the fact that, like I said, some of these teams have really started to pick it up at the end.
Yeah, I think outside of OpTic, it's a pretty wide open major. I think there's about 4 or 5 teams that could easily make it to grands, if not win it. Because you never know what could happen. Koi could come out, beat Surge, and then look really, really good against OpTic and knock them to losers, and then you never know what happens from there. I think Falcons, I agree. I think they could easily make a run. The only problem they have is that they would run into OpTic in a potential road. And then I think the winner of FaZe is... Oh, we had another blip there.
We're good, chat. We're good.
I think the winner of FaZe Thieves... oh, man. Yeah, that's FaZe Thieves versus potentially Miami. I think the winner of FaZe Thieves makes a run. I think they could come out and beat Miami. Miami looks good, but yeah, I mean, like you said, it's there's about 4 or 5 teams that are kind of dark horse candidates under OpTic right now, and OpTic obviously the heavy favorite. But I mean, it's a major. You never know what can happen. It's LAN.
Exactly.
It's a totally different game from online COD, and we saw such parity in this online split. I'm sure we'll see some of that smooth over here, and we'll really see, some we'll see the cream rise to the top, as they say.
Yeah, you talk about we talk about OpTic just a little bit more. They looked rough at the end of Major 1 qualifiers, and then they got to LAN and went on a run, made it to Grand Finals. So OpTic have already proven this year that they are pretty good at LAN. But all it takes is one bad day. One bad day, and suddenly, especially with this type of format, because of how many matches are being played on Friday, one bad game, you're out of the tournament on Friday. You know what I'm saying? If OpTic can be gone day 1 if they have a bad day. So, yeah, and that just kind of speaks, in my opinion, to how crazy the league has been so far this year. Yeah, I think, like I said, my underdogs are given. I think I agree with you. Outside of OpTic, we could see almost anyone that is currently here on this breaking point page chat kind of rise up. Outside of, not to be a dick, outside of Ravens and Surge and Koi, I'm not gonna even include Paris in there because they've already, they won Major One. They've proven they can play at LAN. So you're like anyone that's outside of that play in qualifier besides Paris. If it depends on how the days go. This is a very up in the air major for me. My gut says take OpTic based off what we've seen. It's hard to go 10-1. That's insane. The fact that there's a world where they even go 11-0 if they aren't practicing maps, it says a lot. But it's going to be this is also the first time we've been to the UK in a minute, and that those
Mhm.
UK crowds are something different. It's going to put a lot of pressure. We said that just a little bit ago, talking about some of these kind of lower on the totem pole teams. It's going to be very interesting to see how this major plans out.
Yep. Yep. All right.
Yeah,
Should we get predictions?
yeah. Let's run through Friday's predictions. Nick, go ahead and start us off.
So we're starting off with Carolina and Mates, and I'm going to go with a quick 3-0 here for Mates. I think when we show up to LAN, we saw the type of team that Carolina was at Major One. We saw the type of LAN team that Mates was at Major One, and I think this is not going to be close. I think we see Mates return to form here. They lock in and get it done 3-0.
Yeah, I'm also going to take Mates, but honestly, with you, I'm going to take it in a little bit of a closer fashion. I'm going to take Mates
Okay.
3-2. I think even though Mates have proven that they can show up and play on LAN, you cannot completely write off that they have been struggling. They are in the play-in bracket for a reason. They have been struggling, and there is a chance where those struggles continue. I just got a little bit more faith in them than I do Ravens, so I'm going to take
Yeah,
Mates
don't hate
3-2.
it. Don't hate it.
Well, that moves us into Koi taking on Surge for our second play-in match. Now, this one I do think is going to be a pretty quick, in and out 3-0 Koi.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Koi 3-0 as well. I think Surge really honestly, I think there were 3 teams that didn't deserve to be at this major. I think Surge is the 3rd team.
Yeah,
I do got Koi 3-0.
yep, I agree with you. Well, that takes us into our winners bracket matches now. And to kick us off, we're going to have Miami take on the winner, sorry, of Ravens and Paris. Snick, for you and I both, that means that we believe Miami will be taking on Paris.
Yep.
I've personally got Paris taking it 3-2. I think if Paris can make it through that play-in bracket, it should probably take some weight off their shoulders, and I think we'll see a return of the Paris we're used to seeing.
Yeah, that's fair. But I have the other side of the game 5. I got Miami 3-2 in this one. Miami's search has been next level. We talked about Super a little bit earlier with his snipe. Mates have been struggling in search. I think Miami's able to sneak out one of the hard points or the overload if they need to, and I think we see him win both searches. Take it 3-2.
I don't hate it. Like I said, Miami's one of my underdog picks. I think there's a world where they make a very prominent run here.
Yeah, I mean, we both picked 3-2. I think this match
Yeah.
really could go either way. I think it's gonna be a banger regardless.
Well, that takes us in to the next match in our winners bracket here. We got Thieves taking on FaZe. None of these teams came into the play-in. This is a true winners bracket matchup here. I'm taking FaZe 3-2, man. I think it goes the distance, but I think something is just speaking to me about FaZe. They've looked much better at the end of this qualifying split here, but also you look back a little bit at the last LAN. FaZe were a serious threat on LAN at Major One, so I'm just gonna put a little bit. I think they carry a little bit more weight currently on LAN. So FaZe 3-2 for me.
I'm gonna go FaZe 3-1 in this one, so I'm with you on
Mhm.
FaZe. I think Thieves struggling, just well, not necessarily struggling, but I think they're one of those teams that have yet to hit their ultimate form, and I think we've seen it with FaZe already. We know this is a team of players that can easily turn up on land. 2 of them were in what, like 4 grand finals last year, and
Mhm.
Simp and Draza are Simp and Draza. So
Yeah.
I got them taking it 3-1.
Well, that moves us into OpTic taking on the winner of Toronto and Surge, which means for both of us, it's going to be OpTic taking on Koi. I would imagine that's the same for pretty much anybody watching right now. Um, I'm gonna take OpTic 3-1. I think no matter which one of those teams comes out of that play-in bracket there, I don't think either of them are quite up to standard, quite up to par with OpTic. We just saw OpTic 3-0 Koi last match of the qualifier, right? So yeah, it's a proven matchup. OpTic has beaten both of these teams, is capable of beating both these teams, and they just look great. So I'm gonna take OpTic 3-1.
Yep, I'm on the same page as you. I got OpTic 3-1. I think Koi sneaks out one of the maps, but
Mm-hmm.
OpTic gets it done.
Following that, we start moving into our losers bracket matches of the day. Oh no, real quick, we have G2 taking on Falcons. My fault. I'm gonna take G2 3-2. Oh no, my fault. Reverse that. Falcons 3-2. I keep looking at the wrong part of the list. Falcons 3-2. I take Falcons 3-2 versus this G2 matchup here. I think they just got a little bit more fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Falcons 3-2 as well. G2 loves going map 5, so I think it goes the distance.
Mm-hmm.
And then Falcons pulls it out in the end. This should be a pretty good match, but we talked about G2 and how they really haven't had that statement win that they needed in the online qualifiers, and Falcons I think are one of those teams. I probably have them in the top 3 of chances to win the major, so I think they pull it out.
Now we move into our losers bracket matches. So the first losers bracket match here, we're gonna have the loser of the match where Miami plays the winner of Paris and Carolina. For Snick and I, that was mates. This play-in bracket just makes everything so weird. Just bear with us. I've got it pulled up here. I'll do a little
for me,
mouse.
It's mates. For you, it would be Miami playing LAT.
For me, it is indeed Miami playing Thieves.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
I'll do a little mouse hover here for the people at home so that you guys can get a little bit of an idea. It is going to be whoever loses here goes here. So for me, that is Miami losing here to go here. For Snick, it is Paris losing here to go here. All right, that is explained. But yeah, so for me, it's going to be Thieves taking on Miami, in which case I'm taking Thieves. For you, it'll be Thieves taking on Paris.
Yes, and in that match, I got mates taking it 3-1. It's a tough one to call, but I think it just comes down to land form. And I think if mates get the momentum from beating Carolina, and then Thieves, obviously they'd be losing to Miami after that, but if Thieves, they get knocked down to the losers bracket round 1, I think we could see some check outage there. And I think mates takes it 3-1.
Yeah, for me, I just it's hard. I look at the absolute manpower that Thieves should have on their roster, even with a rookie in Neom, and it's hard for me to take Miami over them. It would if it was Paris, if I had Paris down here in losers already, I'd probably be a little bit more inclined to throw Thieves out here, but and also go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is an insane losers round 1 match. No matter how you get it, like it could be LAT or FaZe versus Miami, Carolina, or Gentlemates. Like any of those matchups, I mean, kind of outside of Carolina, would be insane losers round 1 matches, and it's gonna be crazy to see one of those teams go home so early.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how it goes, just like the full list in this losers round 1, Miami, Ravens, Paris, Thieves, or FaZe could all be going home here. Mm-hmm. Ravens is a little bit more understandable, but considering that everyone else is one of our underdog picks to win the major, just goes to show how big this losers round 1 matchup is about to be here. Yeah. So let's talk about the other losers round 1 matchup on Friday. We're going to have, again, chat, I'm going to kind of give you the mouse, all right? I'm going to help you understand. It's going to be whoever loses here against OpTic is going to go down to play the loser of G2 and Falcons. So in both of our cases, it's going to be Koi playing G2. Mm-hmm. In which case, I'm going to take G2 3-2. I think you said it yourself. G2 love Game 5s. And I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt here simply because they did make it, far in the last major. and I'm just not super sold on that Koi roster.
Yeah, I'm with you. Taking G2 3-2 for exact same reasons. Love game 5. Koi just not really looking the greatest. And we know G2 are able to do it. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
echoing exactly what you said.
Yeah,
And that's it. Yeah,
yeah, that's gonna be our
those are our
Friday.
matches.
That Friday, I'm sure you guys sitting at home listening in, that was probably not very easy to understand in some points.
It's one of the
This
most
play,
complicated majors we'll ever
yeah,
have.
like I said, this play in is really interesting. It kind of changes a lot of like what happens down here. But yeah, so that's our Friday. Uh, I've got who we got going home on Friday? We got Ravens going home. We've got Koi going home. I have Miami going home. Um,
I got LA Thieves going home. Who else?
Surge is going home.
Surge, Carolina Thieves, and Koi are the
Yeah.
4 teams I have going home.
So minus Surge, Ravens, Koi, and Miami, which is still that first losers round 1 matchup is going to be wild. I like the fact that that's how that turned out is insane to me. But that's land for you. I feel like every major sometimes at this point it seems like someone who shouldn't have got DFR'd gets DFR'd.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So like, be interesting to see. We've already kind of talked about the rest of the days looking forward. Like I said, my gut feeling, my like genuine pick is OpTic, but I think there's a huge list of underdogs that could end up showing up and taking this one out.
Yeah. I mean, I really can't pick anyone other than OpTic just because I feel like everyone other than them looked up and down at certain points during online qualifiers, and it's really hard to pick against a team that goes 10-1, man. It comes
It
down to that at
is.
the end of the day. It's just almost impossible. They do have a little bit of a tough road, as you would expect, but I do got to go with them.
Well, Snake, that's gonna do it
Mm.
for this episode. Yeah, man, 66 matches that we've just gone over. For those of you at home, thank you for sticking out with us. Again, to go over it, it's gonna be Snake and I for just the foreseeable future here, but we're gonna keep the episodes running for you. T-Sins is love to everybody. Yeah, man, enjoy the major. Like I said, should be a fun one. It's the first one that we've had in the UK in a while, and the fans in the UK always show up and show out. It's a DreamHack event too, so it's just going to be real quick action. We got 8 matches on the first day, 4 on Saturday and Sunday, so it tapers off quite a bit, but still a lot of COD to be watched today. Snick, thanks for being here with me. To you guys at home, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.